So hello everyone. So today I'm going to deliver again the lectures about global business environment. This is our unit 18 and this is part one of this, just to give you a very introduction of what globalizations, how it impacts in the business environment context and things like that. Um, so for this unit 18, you have to cover the four learning objectives, which are the main things in this unit. The first one is analyze the key factors which drive the globalization. The second is to determine the strategic complexity associated with operating in the global environment. Third learning objective is to evaluate how operating in the global market influences an organization structure, cultures, and functions. And finally, is to evaluate the influence of globalizations on organizational decision-making and strategy. For learning objective, you will focus mainly on analyzing the key factors that drive globalizations. So we go for the first concept of what is globalization. So globalizations is the term that you have been listening a lot nowadays, especially when there is a rise in technology, digital information and things like that. You've heard a lot about TikTok, Facebook, Instagram. So those are the things that push the globalizations happen. Just imagine that one day you wake up in your bed and you're wearing the pajamas that was produced in Japan, you're wearing the shoes made in America, and your bed is made in your home country, like England, for example. So you see how you consume all of the products on over around the world, but just in one place. So that is one of the example of globalization. Okay, so globalization is the name we give to this trend toward the greater economic, cultural, politics, and technological interdependence among national institutions and economies, and is characterized by the denationalizations and internationalizations. I can show you in the upcoming slide. So now we go to the definition of this first. So this is the process which the goods, the services, the capital, the people, information, and idea that flows across the national borders. And this is the trend toward greater economics, cultural, political, and technological interdependence among national institutions and economies. So while we say there are two characteristics of globalizations, the reasons is first, we need to understand what is denationalization. And what's the second is what is internationalization. As you can see on the screen, denationalizations is like the national boundaries become less relevant, where now you open yourself more to adapt more new informations all over the world. And there are some country that they close themselves too much that they don't want to adopt any new thing. I can give example, for example, like North Korea. The country, they don't open themselves to exchange the culture, economics, and things. So they are not categorized as the nationalized nations. And the nationalization is one of the main factors that push the globalization to happen. The second thing is the internationalizations, which is the entity cooperating across the national borders. So you open yourself up to, welcome the new things. At the same time, you need to cooperate with others countries as well, so that you can gain more benefits. One example is like each of the country, they have their own strengths and weaknesses, and some of country like Germany, they very good at technology, engineering, and stuff like that. So if your country is not good at manufacturing compared to Germany, you can think about trading what you are good at, and trade with the technological or engineering knowledge over there. If you're good at agriculture, like products like coffee, beans, rice, and things like that, you can think about that is your strength and try to think of ways to give the exchange in the market. So that's the two characteristics, and those two characteristics will create the focuses to generate globalizations. You can see it's like the falling of barriers to trade investment. Those international blocks established like GATT or WTO, they are the bodies that represent for the collaborations of all the countries. They standing there for the benefits, for the sake of tradings, for the sake of, for example, WHO is about your health, things like that. The second focus is technological innovation. You can see internet, communication, and transportation. Those are the factors that push globalizations to happen, because think back about 50, 70 years ago, where we don't have the internet or the transportation is still limited. We travel by horses, by ships. Maybe it take weeks, months, maybe years. We don't know, but that's created interruptions in the information delivery. And also the internet. Now you can buy everything on Amazon, eBay, and things like that just by a click. So everything quicker. You can stay in the UK and buy things in China. You can buy things in America just by a click. So you see how information could be enhanced and enriched by those tools, technological. As you can see on your slide, is one of the example of one of the famous products, Starbucks. So this company we can categorize them as the globalized company, because wherever you go, the majority of the countries that you travel, you will see this brand name. And nearly $23 trillion account for the total value of import and export across national border each year for this brand. And other example of globalizations you can think, like you wake up with a G alarm clock made in China. You have the Adidas sandals made in Indonesia. You put American Eagle clothes from Mexico. You unblock your Nokia phone that made from US and Taiwan. And you hop into your Toyota made in Kentucky. You listen to Coldplay from England. Grab a Starbucks coffee. That's the beans harvested in Colombia. Yeah. This information is quite old, but I would like to present here because you can see this is the top 10 globalized country in the year 2008. Globalized country here means that they open themselves, they leaning toward new things, they collaborate a lot in terms of economic, cultural exchange, and knowledge. So you can see top 10. The first one is Singapore, and then Ireland, and then you can see Switzerland, United States, and finally we have Finland. So Singapore one is the case that you can have a look about the cultural background of Singapore. So the nations is the combinations of different countries in there. So the main one could be Chinese, and then we have the some Malaysians also live in Singapore, and we have the Indian live in there as well, and we have the Singaporeans themselves. The country is quite international in the way that they use different languages, and for education, even for transportation, if you had to chance to travel to Singapore, you can experience that. And that is how it's open to other country, because it's so international. It's have different culture from different country, and people from different country, they go and work there. So we can categorize globalization into two things: globalizations of markets and globalization of productions. So globalization of the markets, that the convergence in buyer preference in market around the world, and globalization of productions, which is the dispersal of production activities worldwide to minimize the cost and maximize the quality. So we come first to the concept of what globalization of the markets. So historically distinct and separate national market emerging is no longer a market we can talk about like German market or the American market or Chinese market. Now we have a global market where everyone, everywhere, the products from everywhere can go there and we can buy it. So to let the global markets happen, you need to have the following trade barriers, make it easier to sell globally. The consumer taste, also one of the things, because you want the quality goods and services, and sometimes your country cannot produce that due to the limited in the resources. So the consumer taste increase and the preference increase, that generates the need to go other countries to have that product. And also the growth of international firms. So they promote trade by offering the same basic products worldwide. Other example I can show you on the screen, like McDonald's, they have 39,198 fast food restaurants in 119 countries, and they employed more than 2.2 million people at the time. Ford Motor Companies, also one of the case where in 2021, it's worked with about 1,200 tier one suppliers around the globe. And Amazon recently they expand and to tens thousands of suppliers and employing more than 1.3 million full and part-time employees on the world. Interestingly, when you reflect back to the incident of COVID, another example is that when the COVID pandemic happened, and without globalization, we cannot get the vaccines quick. And also we cannot communicate, and you have a report about this incident every day on the internet. You can access how many people, the population of each country, how they being affected by this one. And because the world was able to communicate across the boundary, nations were able to work together to quickly produce the vaccine for the virus. And in addition, the doctors travel where they were needed. For example, the Cuba country, they sent the doctor to Italy at the beginning of the pandemic to assist with the crisis as it developed too much in Italy. Okay. Globalizations in the market will have certain benefits. You can see it's reduced the marketing costs. It also creates new market opportunities, the level of an even income stream, local buyer needs, and global sustainability. We move next to globalizations in production. So is this referred to sourcing goods and services from location from around the globe to take advantage of national differences? So as I told you about one of the example before, if your country good at making coffees, making agriculture stuff, and another company they're good at engineering and things like that, you can think about how you can make the advantage of what you are good at, do the trading with other country. At the same time, the country that very good at manufacturing or engineering, they can think of how they can trade the products to you. So this helped to gain the cost advantage by reducing location where cost production factors is low. Cost advantages here, for example, in America, they don't have much land for agriculture. That's the reason why if they grow the rice there, they don't gain any cost advantage. However, if they import that rice from South Asia country, for example, like Vietnam or Japan or China, they would get cost advantage because those countries, tropical ones, they have the resources that good for building up the rice resources and improve the quality of functionality of the products that differentiate them. The example is we have the US outsource some radiology work to India. We have car design in Germany, assembling in Mexico, made in US and Japan, and fabricated from Korean steel and Malaysian rubber. This is how you can see different country combination to make one product. Okay. So again, I summarize again about globalization. We have globalization of production, and the benefits of globalizations for production is that it's access to lower cost worker. You can think about iPhone. Why Apple choose China's and others big country for manufacturing the iPhone? Because they have big populations that satisfy the manufacturing process over there. Instead of employ the people in America, by employing the people in other countries, they can pay the cheaper price and also have the qualified products. Accept the technical expertise. The case that I already told you as well about German people good at engineering. So if you know certain country, they're good at certain things, you can think of do the trading to get the technical expertise from them. And then you accept the production inputs. Okay. I think we can stop today, and the next lectures I will explain to you more about the important role of globalization.